What's up, everybody? I'm Matt Welty, co-host of Full Size Run in the Complex Sneakers podcast, doing something a little different today on Life at Complex. Have the one and only James Whitner here, founder of the Whitaker Group, A Ma Maniere, Social Status. We have a very special sneaker coming out very soon by you, and we want to talk to you about everything. James, how you been, man?
Man, good. Thank you for that. Thank you for that Oscar-winning introduction, man. I appreciate you, Matt.
We've spoken a lot in the past, your connection to sneakers, your connection to retail. Last year, you won the Footwear News Retailer of the Year award. So congrats on that. But you have an Air Jordan 3 coming out, which is kind of a big deal.
It's crazy, yo. It's like, I guess when you're working on something in silence for so long, you just kind of sit there like, oh, I mean, actually, you get nervous. Like you start getting nerves about it because you're the only, us and our team and the Jordan team were the only ones that knew about it. So you work on this thing for so long and you stare at it for so long that you start to think you're crazy, but it's crazy. It's super excited.
What's your first memory of the Air Jordan 3?
The 3 was the first Jordan that my mother ever bought for me and my brothers. So it was like the idea of like, yo, if we're going to be telling a story that's going to be about women, and like I'm not going to say I'm the face of our business because I hate that. I think all of us, our whole team, is the face of our business. But for me specifically, it was that story. It was super unique and it stuck into my mind. And even I got to give my brother the credit. He was the one who said it. He was like, yo, bro, if you're going to do it, mommy bought us the 3. We call our mom our raise or mommy. Yeah. Like mommy bought us the 3. That was the first shoe she bought us.
Definitely. If for those watching who don't know, the shoe is the Air Jordan 3 raised by women. You put out that very powerful black and white video where you wanted to celebrate Black women. It is Women's History Month, and it's also February, Black History Month. You said you don't want to just celebrate Black stories in February. So how important was it for you to tell this story this month?
It's crazy because there was no intent to tell the woman's history story in this month by myself or the brand. I think it was just about us. It just lined up. There was no, I think on both sides, I think Jordan Brand is being very intentional of allowing us to tell our stories the way we want to tell them. And it wasn't like it was slated for like a Black History Project or a Women's History Project. It was about, hey, what's the best things to get after? What stories do we want to tell? And it just, like God engineering, it just played.
You said that, this is like kind of the initiatives that Jordan's working on. They've done a lot more women inclusive shoes. This is an inclusive sizing sneaker. Virgil did it. There's projects with, likes of Aleli May, Melody Asani. What has the reaction from the women in your life been when they've seen this shoe?
I think they all appreciate me for who I am every day. So honestly, I haven't even spoken to my mom about it. My daughter's seen it, but she kind of knows who I am. The mother of my children, she's seen it, but I think they just know who they're living with every day. So it's not one of those things where they're ever like, I'm not going to say they don't appreciate me, but it's kind of like, there's an expectation for me to be who I am because I think it's just the way we hold each other accountable. So they expect me to just continue to be consistent in being who I've been and just work on being better and telling our stories. So they honestly haven't said a word yet. I haven't even spoken to my mom. My brother mentioned it to me yesterday.
You kind of described the sneaker as timeless, classic, luxury. I think that kind of encapsulates A Ma Maniere to the T. But can you go through like the design of the shoe and kind of how you put those influences on the sneaker references?
Yeah, I'm always the first person to not take credit, right? I sat with Izzy from the Jordan team, and JP and Cav was in the room, and Scotty was in the peripheral, and at the time, Gmo was still lurking around. So we just sat there like we've always done. And for us, it is doing things simple. So taking Ellie off was never even something it was like a no-brainer. Like, yeah, suede for Ellie, done, right? And then it was just really about what colors spoke best to make women feel like they were included, but to not make men feel like they were excluded, right? Because the idea of you hear women say so much, they want to participate in a journey with men, right? They just want to buy dope stuff. And we just wanted to be mindful of leading with women, but including men, and doing something that spoke to A Ma Maniere through like the subtle details, like the suede and Izzy, that was all Izzy on the raw edges, and like just really drove it home. And we looked at it, it was like the sample came back and we was like, oh, we're done.
I think one of the biggest things about this shoe too is that you actually got the Nike Air on the back of the Air Jordan 3.
I'll say this again. I give the Jordan team hell, and they'll laugh at me when they see this, because they allow me to be me, which is what I love about them. And I don't know if they always know how much I appreciate them. But like, yo, they're really, really, really excited about standing up for us and pushing us and helping us like lead. So like, yo, I can keep saying it over again. Like, yo, everybody on that team, like from MJ to Craig down, like all of them have been super supportive of us as a retail global leader and as a community leader. Gentry, Eli, Carey, all of them. I don't want to just go off naming people just for the sake of naming people, but you're like, yo, they support me, bro, and it's been incredible.
Beyond that too, I think one of the cooler details that I noticed on the shoe is that on the aglets, you put work harder.
Yeah, I mean, it's always that was Cav, yo. Like when Cav Chow came on our team, I don't know if I just drove him crazy, but his screensaver was work fucking harder. And we couldn't put fucking on the shoe, right? But it's just the idea that like, yo, it's never over. Like there's on the side of this, there's me chasing me. And my biggest fear is me, my 21-year-old self outworking my 42-year-old self. So there's no time for me to get tired, and there's no time for our team to get tired, and we got to work strategic, and we got to fight. And me also understanding I'm a black man in the industry of primarily white faces, so the fight looks different for me. So I can't flinch. Every day I got to wake up and be ready to go at it. So I don't pretend what it is. So I always want to put that message to others, especially women, because if anyone has it worse than black men, it's black women. And people don't talk about that at all. So it's the understanding that they never say it, but it's ingrained in them that they gotta show up. They got to show up better than the rest of us every day.
Do you have any plans for women to get the shoes first? I know Virgil had done that with the Air Jordan 4 release on Sneakers app, where they gave, first dibs to select women to buy the sneaker. Do you have anything like that planned?
Yes, there's definitely going to be, I can't go out with all the details first, but women will be very happy with the plan that we have to make sure that they get the shoe, because obviously we understand how sneaker culture works, right? And when it's a zoo, women just don't get a chance to participate the way they should be able to. So we're going to make sure that we have a ladies first plan, and they'll be excited once they hear the details. It's super dope.
You have a close relationship with Michael Jordan beyond just being a retailer. You said he's kind of like a mentor to you. You guys talk like once a month and just catch up. Did you talk to him about this sneaker? Did you get MJ's feedback on it?
He said, I try never to talk to him about some like stuff that is like more pointed to me, because it's just weird, right? Like I just like it to be like a relationship. Like me and Marcus it's not just about sneakers, and it's a personal relationship. But what he said was, I really like the shoe. And for me, that was regardless of relationship, he's still MJ, right? So when he approves of the shoe, you still get, I was excited. You know what I'm saying? And then even like to see him wear the Hornets, to see him wear the shirt from the collection at the Hornets game, I was excited like I didn't know him. Like I was, super excited.
He was there All-Star Weekend at, your store in that kind of viral moment when you guys did the Air Jordan 6. But you had said when you did the Air Jordan 6, it didn't have the official social status branding on it. But now you actually have the A Ma Maniere branding on the Air Jordan 3. How big was it for you to finally get that?
Man, huge. We go back and forth about a lot of details, primarily because of my passion of what we're trying to accomplish. Yeah. But I never want to not be appreciative at a moment. It's just we have so much work to do with sneaker culture, Black community, all the things that we stand for, that I know this is a huge moment, and I never want to take it for granted, and we need to celebrate it. But I also can't ignore everything else that I know that's in front of us. So it's kind of like, it's like balancing my emotions, if that makes sense.
In the video, there was a clip of Vice President Kamala Harris. Obviously, you have some sort of connection to her as well. Joe LaPuma went sneaker shopping with her at Social Status during the run-up to the presidential election. She's been wearing sneakers lately. Is there any chance that we could see her in the A Ma Maniere Air Jordan 3s?
That could get interesting, bro. I mean, listen, all I can say is anything that could happen. Anything could happen. We haven't like reached out for it, but 100% it's a thought. It's a thought on our side. But like I always try to manage my ask, right? If her team reaches out and says, "Hey James, we need that sneaker," she gonna get 3 pairs, right?
Yeah.
What are we talking about here, right?
You recently met with Barack Obama. You posted that on Instagram. How surreal of a moment was that for you?
Crazy. Me, Marcus, and Ali was at his dad's spot, Grove 23, just catching up and going through beds, doing what we do or whatever. And I'm in the room like taking Zoom calls, and Marcus texts me like, "Man, get here." And I'm like, "Huh? Barack is here." I pivoted so fast. I was so excited to meet that man. I've probably only been starstruck twice. Meeting MJ the first time and meeting President Obama. It was crazy. Like I can't describe it. It's like, it's that energy. The energy was just crazy.
You did another sort of sneaker collaboration. You had an exclusive shoe recently on the Nike Waffle 1 through the Whitner group, where you gave back to the families affected in Houston. What was that like to be involved in that project?
I mean, it's incredible, man, because you start to think about why we're doing what we're doing, right? And as we work with not just Nike, but all of our brand partners, and think about what do we want to mean to the industry, and the fact that the brand is willing to first build the offense that keeps us and partners like myself, like the cast of characters who've been putting the work on their own in the sneaker community, but keeping us first and allowing us to be who we are in sneaker culture, and then being able to peel back and letting us get loose and be able to tell the stories that we want to tell, how we want to tell them, when we want to tell them, and obviously working strategically with them to launch new models, and it was incredible. And to be able to give back to families, that was the most important part. That was not the plan in the beginning, right? It just happened, but it speaks to our relationship with Nike for them to allow us to just pivot and do what we want to do. They basically said like, "Hey, you know how to do this work, do it." And they supported us all the way through, and they continue to. So that's just been incredible to have the support of Nike and Jordan to be who we are.
And do you have any sort of community initiatives planned with the Jordan 3 that you can talk on?
I think bigger than this one shoe, I think it's a way of working going forward for the world. I think it's not about singular moments anymore. I think it's about the idea that we got to, on one hand, excite and get after doing what we are as leaders of culture. Then on the other side, it's we got to make sure we're changing the world as we go. So I don't think it's going to be done in one launch, but it's going to be how we inform all of our relationships as we continue to do business and continue to just work together.
Because I know we spoke on the Complex Sneakers podcast last year. You talked about, a lot of holding the footwear industry accountable for injustices happening in the Black community. Yep. How do you feel like the brands have done since then?
It's always tough for me to, because in these cases, people in the outside world don't see much, but on the backside, there's tons of conversations, literally every day. My most of my day yesterday was on figuring out ways to be strategic around community. So it's top of mind for everybody. So it's not if it's going to change. It's absolutely going to change, and leaders around our industry have committed to that change all around the industry, from luxury and sneakers, and so it's been exciting because everyone's responded, and not just to me. A lot of them have stepped out on their own and looked in the mirror and realized that they're privileged and they have a responsibility to do more, and they're actually doing more. Sometimes it's even frustrating to me, very frustrating to me, because it takes too long to show. And what I like to say is a year on your calendar is a year in somebody else's life. right? So like those years look different, but we got to understand, like at the end of the day, we can't expect government to do all the work. We got to do the work ourselves. So we can't change business timelines, but I understand that everybody's heart is in the right place and they're committed to purpose, and they've committed to us.
When this shoe got previewed, and I'm looking at your Instagram, and you finally posted the preview of it, it was kind of almost like a murderer's row of everyone in the footwear industry giving you your props on this shoe. I know you're not a guy just out here and accept accolades, but like, how did it feel to finally like get your flowers in that moment with all the work you've put in?
You know what? I think I appreciate it. It was incredible, but I still like, yo, there's still so much work to be done. And it's like, yo, I really appreciate the acknowledgement and the energy, right? Because all of us are human. So we can't act like we're unfazed by, people reaching out. And it wasn't just on the gram, like people reached out by phone and congratulated me, not just for the 3, but just for everything that we continue to do. And it's great because you need that energy to make you wake up and fight through brick walls. Because, a lot of times I'm fighting against immovable object. It's one thing to be able to create sneakers to do hype and get kids excited. It's another thing to get people to commit to doing things differently for purpose to help humans, right? And like I said, I don't want to talk out of both sides of my mouth, but like, yo, I'm committed to the purpose part, the hype part. I've been blessed to be in a position where we understand how to do experiences, we understand how to do launches. So my primary focus is community and making sure that, like, yo, the people who we connected to stay locked in on purpose.
Can you talk, briefly about doing some sort of activation to make sure that women get the shoes, but how do you combat the hype or the reseller factor that's obviously going to be linked to this shoe as one of the bigger Air Jordans of the year?
The only thing that we could do is make sure that the shoes get into the hands of people, and then it's their choice. The thing I'm going to avoid is we're going to be surgical about making sure it's 1-to-1. Like no address gets more than one shoe. No person that shows up to get a shoe isn't getting the shoe unless the size on their feet aligns to the size that they're buying. Like we're going to get that surgical around this drop because, just based on everything that happened recently at Nike around bots, and we understand the optics of it, and it's our job to just make sure that we have the most as much integrity as we can in this process to make sure kids feel like they win. Then if they choose to sell them after that, that's on them. But it's not going to be a case where they feel like they didn't have a fair shot.
James, what's next for A Ma Maniere? Because obviously you have probably a million projects on the way. Is there anything that you can kind of let us into as far as initiatives go, or even sneakers?
Well, I think bigger than that, I think we've been working with our nonprofit for a while, but we just got our 501(c) final approval for the Whitner charitable project. We've been funding it and working on it, but we just got like the final approval from the feds. So that's super exciting because our business has officially split into 2. It's the Whitner Group and the Whitner Charitable Project. So that's fun. But then I think later this year you'll see A Ma Maniere Beach jump out there, and I think that's going to be exciting. We got some fun stuff coming around that. Then our flagship location in Atlanta finally broke ground, and that's gonna pop up. We'll see some fun stuff happen around that. And then on the social status side, we got a project in Detroit that's going to be catch people off guard. We got a project in Baltimore that's going to catch people off guard. So really, it's just about going into communities. The same thing, man. Standing on purpose first, and then the hype, crazy, exciting stuff. We know how to do that, but we gotta make sure we connect it to the kids the right way. The hype is just a way to pull them in. We gotta keep them there and teach them something once they get in with us.
James, I appreciate you taking your time to talk to us about this sneaker. Obviously, it's going to be a big deal. Hopefully, people watching can get a pair. Is there anything else you want to tell the people before we go?
No, just thank everybody. Thank you guys, man. I just appreciate the support, man. I appreciate the love that you guys are giving me. I appreciate the encouragement. I appreciate the energy. I appreciate y'all always including us, man. Thank you everybody who's supporting it. And I'm not on behalf of not just myself, but me and our team. We appreciate it.